You're back. Hi, everyone. Before we dive in, a quick favor. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and make sure you never miss out on amazing videos. All right, let's get started. Hey guys, so I've been sitting on this for a while, trying to wrap my head around everything. Honestly, I'm not the type to post personal stuff like this, but I feel like I need to get it off my chest. It's been a few weeks since this all went down. And even though I know I made the right decision, it still feels unreal. I was engaged to someone I thought I'd spend my life with, but one night changed everything. Let me explain. My name's Adam. I'm 29 and I work in it. I've always been pretty chill, maybe even too much. So, I don't like drama or making a big deal out of things. I'd rather talk stuff out and move on. You know, Kendra, my ex-fiancée, was the opposite. She's 27, works in marketing, and is the kind of person who thrives on energy. She's charismatic, super outgoing, and loves being the center of attention. When we first got together, her fiery personality was one of the things I loved about her. She was passionate, determined, and had this confidence that made you believe she could take on the world. Over time, though, I started noticing that her passion sometimes crossed a line into stubbornness. There were little red flags I ignored, like the time we went to a dinner party with my coworkers, and she made a comment about how I could have dressed better in front of everyone, laughing like it was a joke, or how she always had to pick the restaurant when we went out. And if I suggested something different, she'd either roll her eyes or say, "Well, I guess you don't care if I enjoy dinner." At first, I thought it was just her being particular, but it started to feel like things always had to go her way. So, it became clear that if she wanted something, she wouldn't back down until she got it. I brushed it off for the most part because, well, no one's perfect. Fast forward 4 years, and we're engaged. Wedding planning was intense, to say the least. Kendra wanted this massive Pinterest-perfect wedding with over 200 guests, an elaborate venue, and God knows how many floral arrangements. I, on the other hand, wanted something smaller, intimate, and manageable. We weren't rolling in money, and I didn't see the point of blowing our savings on a single day. But every time I brought up my concerns, it turned into a fight. She'd accused me of not caring about the wedding or not wanting to put in the effort. I tried to explain that I wasn't against the wedding. I just wanted us to be realistic. It wasn't just about the guest list, either. Every detail had to meet her exact vision. I remember one time, she spent 2 hours debating with the florist about the color of the centerpieces, only to snap at me when I suggested we go with something simpler. "If you're not going to take this seriously, why are you even here?" she said, completely ignoring the fact that I'd left work early to make it to that appointment. It wasn't about compromising. It was about her winning. Then came that night. We were in the living room, buried under the chaos of wedding planning. Papers were scattered everywhere, sticky notes clinging to random surfaces, and a big binder stuffed to the brim sat open on the coffee table. Kendra had spent months assembling that thing, and now it looked like it was holding her sanity together by a thread. She was pacing back and forth, her words tumbling out in an endless rant about finalizing the guest list. She was fixated on inviting a sea of distant relatives I couldn't even begin to place. Cousins thrice removed, their kids, their plus ones. It felt absurd. I sat on the couch, watching her whirl around the room like a storm, trying to find the right moment to speak. "Kendra," I said cautiously, "do we really need to invite people we barely know? Shouldn't this be about the people closest to us?" She stopped mid-step, slowly turning to face me. Her eyes were sharp, her posture stiff. "Why don't you take this seriously, Adam? Do you even care about this wedding?" That question hit like a punch to the gut. I felt the tension in my chest rise, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Of course I care," I said evenly. "But it's not about how many people are there or how extravagant it is. It's about us, about starting our life together." Her expression darkened and her voice rose. "You just don't get it. This isn't about us. It's about celebrating what we have with the people who've been there for our families. This is supposed to be the most important day of our lives, and you're treating it like a business transaction." "It's not that," I said, struggling to keep my frustration in check. "I just think we need to be realistic. We can't afford to invite half the state. That's not what's going to make the day special." Her laugh was short and bitter. "Realistic? You mean cheap?" right? You don't care about making this day memorable. You just care about the price tag. Kendra, come on. I said, my voice tightening. That's not fair. I'm trying to keep us from going into debt over this. Isn't that what matters? Starting our marriage on solid ground? You always do this, she snapped, stepping closer. Her tone was sharp enough to cut. You make me feel like I'm ridiculous for wanting something beautiful. Why do I even bother trying to make this special when you clearly don't care? I stood up, my frustration boiling over. Don't put words in my mouth. I care, but I'm not going to pretend throwing money at it will make it better. This is supposed to be about love, not putting on a show for people we barely know. She was trembling now, her face flushed, her hands balled into fists at her sides. You're impossible, she said through gritted teeth. You don't hear me. You never hear me. Her voice cracked, and for a second, I thought the tension might break into something softer, maybe a chance to de-escalate. But then she closed the distance between us, her movements abrupt and determined. Kendra, let's just before I could finish, her hand came down hard across my face. The slap echoed in the silence that followed, leaving a sharp sting on my cheek and an even deeper one in the pit of my stomach. For a second, I just stood there, stunned. I've never been in a situation like that before, and it felt like time froze. My cheek was burning, but it wasn't the pain that got to me. It was the sheer disbelief. This was someone I loved, someone I was supposed to marry, and she had just crossed a line I never thought she would. I stared at her, my mind racing to process what had just happened. Her expression shifted immediately from fury to shock. Her mouth opened slightly, her face pale. Adam, she whispered, her voice shaky and unsteady. I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't. I couldn't speak for a moment. I could feel my chest rising and falling as I fought to keep my composure. Looking back, there had been moments leading up to this. The way she'd throw verbal jabs when she didn't get her way or escalate every disagreement until I was the one who brushed it off to keep the relationship. This wasn't a one-off. It was the boiling point of something that had been simmering for a long time. Finally, I stood up slow and deliberate and met her eyes with a calmness that surprised even me. Pack your things, I said, my voice quiet but unyielding. Her eyes widened and she took a half step back, her hands clutching each other. What? Adam, wait. No, I didn't mean it. You have to believe me. I wasn't thinking. I was just so stopped. I interrupted, holding up my hand. I don't care what your excuse is.